knew I was going to have the support of my supervisor, who at the time was also a friend, and I think she knew that this was pretty serious. And still at the time, now I think our company and companies in general are really good about mental health and taking leave of absence and all of that. But back then, especially at MTV, it was very cutthroat and fast paced and last minute, and you just didn't do stuff like that. And so for me to say to her, I have to leave at 5:30 every day was a really big deal. Like, we were at the office till 7 or 7:30 every single night, like no questions asked. But to leave at, I think it was 5 o'clock, because the rehab stuff, it was 5:30 to 8:30, 3 hours a day for a year. I mean, that is a lot,
Yes.
but if I had looked at it that way, I wouldn't have done it. It's like that, like long-term thinking can be really great when you're sort of like wanting to set your direction, but to get too in the weeds about that direction, it's too overwhelming. It was like, I would literally just show up. And I remember, the counselor at the time, when I started to catch wind, what he was saying about sobriety, that it meant not drinking ever again. I looked at him and I said, but wait, hold on. I came here to learn how to drink. Are you saying that sobriety means I don't drink? And he was like, you're just not going to drink today. Tomorrow you can drink, but today you can't drink. And that simple term of like, don't worry, tomorrow you can drink, but today you can't drink. Like, just today. It was like, all we have is today for everything. What can you do in this 24 hours? And that is what truly saved my life.
God bless him for bringing you guys just right present. Like, he really kept you so present in that moment, because that's, like you said, it's all you have. That's really all any of us have, it's really the difference between living in fear and love. It's like when you're living in love and really taking care of yourself, or being very present, it's like you're closer to love than you are the fear.
Yes.
When you're living in the past, or scared about the future, or worried about the future in any kind of way, it's like that's all fear-based. So wow, love that he framed that for you, and everyone that was there. That's so beautiful. And God bless your supervisor for just having your back, because not in every case, I mean, your industry especially, like, you were so blessed to have that, and
She is very much, I mean, she was, I don't know that she knows how critical she was in my journey, but
you'll have to tell her
this podcast and let her know. Shout out to Mara.
Shout out. Well, during this time, you started to date your husband, now husband, as a recovering alcoholic. Then later you guys got married. Did you have a big Italian wedding? What was your wedding like?
Oh, don't, my family really wishes that I had a big Italian wedding. No, in fact, I had, during this time when we started officially dating, I moved into the events department. And so, doing events for a living, and then, coming from the world where I was throwing huge parties all the time, I knew that this relationship was so special, and that our families were very important to each of us in a very similar way. Even though we grew up completely different in completely different parts of the country, we had our sort of grassroots core beliefs and values were very similar. And we just wanted it to be just our families. By just our families, I mean parents, siblings, grandparents. That's it. It was very difficult for a lot of people in my life in particular, because, I'd surrounded myself with a lot of really beautiful friendships that I still to this day feel are my family. These people are my family. I love and adore them. And I think it was really hard for them to not be there on one of the most special days of our lives. Similar for Sam too. A lot of his really good friends, to this day will say like, yeah, if we would have been at your wedding, but we needed to do, again, what was authentic for us and what was going to serve our families best. I wanted to focus on what we were there to do. But funny enough, when we had made the decision that it was just going to be immediate family, at first, Kelly, who I told you is like a sister to me, we told her it was just immediate family and that meant not her. And because, we're still navigating this, I was navigating, what was important to me, when do I stand up for things that I believe in or the like. And I remember for days, I was so distraught when I was talking to her and she realized that it meant not her. She was so distraught. I was so distraught. I could not stop crying for days. My body wouldn't let me recover from this decision. And it was one of the first times I was like, this isn't the right decision. I know it doesn't fit in the molds of immediate family, like related family, but she is my immediate family. She is my sister. And yes, I have really, really good girlfriend relationships, a lot of really close relationships. But Kelly's been there since I was 5 years old. She's a sister to me. And, God bless Sam again, where he was like, this isn't right. Like, you need to have Kelly there by your side. And to have that support and have him see me and how much I was struggling with this decision, like it was just, I had to have her there. So it was my immediate family, including Kelly, because she is my immediate family.
So how many people were talking? Like 12, 15,
Yeah,
20?
I think it was between 12 and 15. I can't, yeah, it was great. It was fantastic.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, you talked about planning all these really big events. What are some of the most memorable events that you've planned? Like, and name some of the events that you're planning, because I can only imagine.
Well, one of the hardest undertakings I think that I've done in my career that I feel really showed me that I can do anything. We can do anything because it's not me, it's a team. But when we used to be Viacom, and then Viacom merged with CBS, and then we became Paramount. So right after, it was coming out of COVID 2022, and we have these big events called upfronts. And it's really a sort of dog and pony show for the company to advertisers and partners and talent and agencies, et cetera, to kind of show what we are and what we can do and what we have upcoming for the year. And so it was the first time we were coming out as Paramount, and the presentation was at Carnegie Hall, and we needed to find a way to really wow everyone with the post party, because everyone, was going to come after the presentation at Carnegie Hall. What are we going to do? Where are we going to do it? We're talking about, I don't know, a few thousand people. And we decided to take over the former Barney's, which was at that time shut down and defunct and sort of broken down. And we went in there and we really restored and created this 8th-floor immersive experience with, I cannot even begin to describe to you what this place looked like. I mean, there were different themes on different levels and different food and different performers and all sorts of talent everywhere. We did all the windows. So all the windows were themed just like at Christmas time. And it was one of the most incredible renovations and experiences I've ever been a part of. And to take that feat and be able to do it successfully and still have, like, it was fun. It wasn't just about looking around a museum. It's like, what are you experiencing as a first time Paramount guest? The stakes were high. And it was incredible. It was incredible.
I know exactly the location you're talking about, the Barney's location. So, oh my goodness, I can only imagine. What are some of the other events like that we would know by name that you help plan?
For sure. I didn't do the Super Bowl, but I did all the Super Bowl parties because CBS was the broadcast partner this year. And when I say I did, the team did all the Super Bowl parties around town. I did the welcome event.
We definitely want to shout the team out, but yes, absolutely.
Yes, for sure, for sure. I am nothing without that. I did a Nickelodeon event with First Lady Biden in October. We did, it was around civics and civic education with kids, and that's really her platform. So we brought her in, we slimed some kids. It was fantastic. And I spent a lot of years doing video music awards, red carpet parties, pre-parties, post-parties, moving VIPs around, doing a lot of those kinds of events. Kids' Choice Awards, you know, things like that.
Yeah. What is like the high? I mean, I can't imagine planning even with a team, and I have to say all of the events that you named are just extraordinary. So you and your team are just incredible. So shout out to all of your team that supports and makes this happen. Like, what's the hardest part about orchestrating a massive event like that with just so many, names and press? And I mean, there's just so many moving parts.
I think the hardest part is getting comfortable with being uncomfortable and knowing that no matter how much you plan and how much you prepare and how organized you are, that things aren't going to go as planned. You need to have the ability to forgive yourself and your team and move on towards a solution. I think that, even on our team, we always find ways to try to perfect our process and our execution. And it's not possible. It's just not possible. You think of all the things, everything, and still something will come up that you didn't anticipate. Or if you did, it's not, as easy to solve as you thought it was. And I think it's just, really being comfortable with knowing you're going to go in with something you have to troubleshoot on the fly, or you have to consult someone who does know the answer, or being able to say, I don't know. Give me a minute. Let me think about this. Let me talk to someone. That for me personally has been the hardest, because I thought if I work hard enough and I learn enough and I work enough years, I'll know everything. And 24 years in, I mean, you can't know everything, and you also want to evolve and be relevant. So it's all new. If you're always doing something new, then you can't possibly know everything. You have to be a little vulnerable, but confident enough to say, you know what, I don't actually know. And that was the wrong decision. Let's think about how we can fix this or make it different or make it work. Those kinds of things.
Yeah, I love that you said that. And, the getting uncomfortable with, just things being uncomfortable. I love that. I imagine though that the demands of your job are pretty demanding, planning events like that and running a team and, just all the things on top of being a mom to two, and a wife. How do you take care of yourself in that? One of the questions we ask all the time is, how do you fuel your mind, your body, and your soul? How do you take care of yourself?
I will say that it's not until recently where I have realized that nothing is ever, I've always been seeking balance. Like I'm seeking this balance where everything is sort of in order all the time. And what I realize is that, especially having kids, it's just not real. It's not real. It's not sustainable. It's not real. So different things in my life need different levels of attention at different times. So that's one. I think I have to say that, because I think there's always this place, this utopia that I feel like I'm going to get to if I just have everything just in order. And it's just not like that. So some of the things that I do is move my body, pray.
Mm-hmm.
When I say meditate, I'm going to just asterisk this, because I have learned later in life that I have ADHD, and I have wondered why in the last 13 years of sobriety, one of the cornerstones of sobriety is prayer and meditation. I can do the prayer, but the meditation part is almost near impossible. And so working with my beloved therapist, who I adore, and my sponsor, they're like, it's okay. You don't have to do the kind of meditation that maybe this person does. You can have a walking meditation. You can have a guided meditation. Your meditation can be 3 minutes while you're sitting outside and staring into the sky while you're having coffee. Like, it doesn't have to be a certain way. It's just about calming your mind and your body enough to receive, to receive. So, it's always a work in progress. I'm not going to lie. And laughter is a big thing for me. I love our team more than you will ever know, for one simple reason, is because we laugh so much together. And that is just, I feel like, the highway to the soul for me. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I love these people so much, and the laughter. And, Sam makes me laugh. I mean, he is the funniest person I know. I mean, I love that. And then just sort of doing a lot of things with my girls in full presence. So it's like I'm getting a second chance at my childhood. I think every parent gets that, but sometimes if I allow myself to just stop and be with them, to do the things that they want to do, it's really fun. And it's playing. And how often are we playing? Sometimes I'm acting silly towards adults because I just want to have fun and be silly and playful. It's like everything doesn't have to be so serious, and so I, through my kids, get that chance to restore that part of me that needs to have a little fun. I go to AA meetings. I have sponsees, which are women that I sponsor, who give me life and love and purpose. And yeah, those are some of the, and being in nature. I think that was a big thing, moving from New York to Arizona. I love New York. I ride hard for New York, but I loved Arizona from the moment we started coming here and visiting family. I like the blue skies. I like the consistency of the days, and the weather and the flowers and all of it.
And thank you so much for sharing. First of all, those are incredible things that you're doing. And you're so right about the, meditation. I think people get caught up in like trying to do like a 30-minute meditation or, and going from zero to, something. And I'm like, start with 1 minute,
Yeah.
like 1 minute of just calming your thoughts, and not taking anything in and just being. And, I think that's also challenging, even without ADHD, as you mentioned that you have. It's even just for a person without it, it's difficult to calm the mind because people don't want to sit in silence, and so because then they have to really hear themselves, and it can be scary. And so I love that you give yourself first that grace, and then also that your sponsor and your therapist really helped you find something that really worked for you, because that's really what all of this about. Like when I first kind of came up with this idea for Sunday Soul Day, I'm like, we, just as people, we're always taking care of others, like, and whether it's our children, our spouses, our parents, our friends, our everything, our jobs, and we're not always, especially as adults, like pouring back into ourselves. And so, but it's so important because otherwise we're serving from a fractional version of ourselves and not a whole version, and I'm like constantly striving to get whole. And so you mentioned the child, play with your children. It's so beautiful. Like I have 2 children as well, my son and my daughter, and they take me out of the serious, and
Yes.
we laugh and we go play,
Yes.
and I mean, my kids are hysterical. They crack me up every day. I'm like, my daughter especially, she's like my little comedian, but I love that you allow yourself to just be present with them, and that's healing, not just you as an adult, but your inner child, because I know it does it for me too. So love that.
And to be completely transparent, I mean, I would be remiss to not say what's currently going on in my life, which is that my father is unwell, and we had to move him into a memory care unit a few months ago. And my mom struggles, and my grandmother, I moved her in a couple of days after my dad into another part of the facility, and there's a lot of physical and mental illness going on in my family. And recently, I think that the demands of life, job, kids, home, parents, all of it has become too much for me. And that, coupled with some medical things that are happening, I think that my body is telling me what it needs, and my body needs to stop for a longer period of time than a night or even a weekend would provide. There is something that I I feel like there's a reckoning. I think I said this to you there's a reckoning that's happening in my life where I am 45 and still feel like I'm 25, but I'm not. So I need to like accept that and realize that I have a lot of energy. Believe that. But I can't sustain that level of energy all the time. And I also don't want to. So what does this mean for me? Like, yes, all of these things are happening that require my attention and my support. And I am so blessed to be able to do it and grateful to do it. But I'm not finding that I'm able to fill my cup in the way that I need to. So I have made a very difficult decision to take a leave of absence from work because when I put everything out on the table, it's the only thing I know I can put a pause on. I can't put a pause on my dad, can't put a pause on my kids, so it's the only thing, thank God, after 24 years, I can, implement this wonderful benefit and say, I need a mental health break because there are things that are happening to me that are worrisome. And it's very indicative of burnout or more. But I need time to figure that out. So that is a way that I'm taking care of myself, is that I am going to, take that pause. And it's very uncomfortable for me. I've never said no to a job. I've never, I've been pregnant, I've nursed, I've had back injuries. I've done everything for this job. I've done everything through, I've done the job through everything.
Yeah. I wasn't for sure if you were going to share that. So thank you so much for sharing that. I know we had talked about it privately. And, I'm so grateful that your job has benefits in place that allow you to take that time that you need, because it is the one thing that you can pause, while you're, kind of helping and supporting everything. And I just really appreciate you sharing that. And it's so important that, when you feel that, you listen. And I think a lot of times we push past that, we just keep kind of working through it, or
For
we
sure.
and I've been there personally, and it is such a disservice to, not just myself, but just people that I want to show up for,
Yeah.
because I'm not showing up as my best self, and it's like I said, a fraction of me as opposed to me, a whole version. And so I'm constantly working on that. We just talked about that, like, just taking time, carving it out,
Yeah.
and being okay with doing nothing,
Yeah. And I wonder, I wonder how I will ever resolve this, because this being, it's hard for me to do things for me.
Mhm.
I kind of trick myself into self-care through others. So what I mean by that is, if the girls that I sponsor need me, you better believe I'm showing up. I'm going to be there for them. My boss, who is currently out on medical leave, needs me. He trusted me enough to like take on the team. I was like, I got this. I got you. Like, I will do it for you. And similarly here, where this leave of absence, which like I just am so uncomfortable doing and saying or anything, if the state I was in wasn't affecting my kids and my husband the way that it is, I don't know that I would have done it. But it's a big red flag. There's something going on and something needs to happen, or the people that I love the most are going to suffer. And I won't let that happen at any cost. And so, these benefits are in place for a reason. I had to like talk through them with the professionals at the company to get the go ahead, the approval, because I needed it. I couldn't say it for myself. And so I feel okay that I can have the time and space that I need because I have the support and the blessing of the people that I, care and respect the most.
Thank you so much for sharing that. And I'm just in awe of you and your journey and this conversation and everything I've learned about you prior and even more that I learned today. Your background is just extraordinary, and you're such an inspiration, and I know I already told you that, but you really are, you're so strong, And the way that you have just kept transitioning and overcoming and learning yourself and showing up and doing extraordinary things at work, like it's amazing. And so I want to say that to you, and I really appreciate you taking the time to share your story with us and our audience. And
Thank
I'm
you.
just so grateful. I really am.
Thank you. I just want to say that I think a lot of people that I meet or know, have this wonderful perception of me that I don't have of myself. And these are the God moments for me. It's the mirrors that I, have around me. I'm so grateful for. But I always say I have a team. I have a whole staff of mental health professionals and things that help me, I mean, I have a sponsor and I have a therapist and I have a marriage counselor and I have, my sponsees and I have meditation and I have spiritual gurus and I have God. And it's like, it takes a lot of work to be on this like path, and I don't do it alone. I can't. And I think that, I'll share something recently. There was something really vulnerable that came up in a counseling session that I had where I felt shame and I felt sad that this part of me had come out, and my children were, on the receiving end of that. And I was like crying that this had happened. And then once I sort of, got the tears out, which are very hard for me, crying is not a thing I do anymore. It's like I cried first half of my, up until 30, and then I just never cried again. It was like I couldn't deal. But when I allow myself to cry and have that release, I then take some deep breaths and I'm like, okay, what do I do now? And it's this reminder that no matter what, no matter how hard I work, I will never be perfect. I will fall, I will falter. But the difference is that I have a choice. What am I going to do with it? Thank you for making it aware, whoever it was at the time, my husband or the therapist or whatever. It's like, thank you for letting me see myself in the not so great ways so that I have a choice today to take a different action and to become aware of it. Because without that self-reflection, self-awareness that you talked about in our first meeting, it's like, we have nothing. If we cannot just reflect without judgment,
That's the key. Yes. That's the key. And I think it's so hard. I mean, when I was younger, I was like, a striving perfectionist, it's like I wanted to do everything just right, and I remember my aunt gave me a poem, and that poem saved me because it allowed me to understand that you're going to make mistakes. And guess what? You're going to make the same mistake again. And then you're also going to make that same mistake again. And the beautiful thing is you learn each time, and you learn faster, even if you make the same mistake. And then you finally get to go down a different road. And that poem really helped me because it allowed me to embrace mistakes. Like, we're not perfect. We're not meant to be perfect, like we're supposed to make mistakes. We're supposed to, that's where we learn. That's where the most beautiful lessons are. And so I embrace my mistakes now where I'm like, I get excited. So I completely shift like where I used to beat myself up and talk
Oh yeah.
like really poorly, like, oh my God, like, why can't you get this? Like, what's wrong with you?
Yeah.
To then like probably in my mid, to late 20s where I really did a big shift. And then at age 32, we both spoke about age 32, that was a game changer for me because I really shifted my self-talk, and
Yes.
that was really helpful. But I had to have that self-awareness in order to get to that place where I shifted my self-talk. And so when I would make a mistake, I would start clapping. So I needed to do something like so drastic that was
Yes.
so, different than what I did. So I would start
Yeah.
clapping, and I'd be like, you are a fucking rock star. Good job.
I mean, you have to change those neural
Oh,
pathways. They're
literally.
long and old and deep.
Literally. And
Yeah.
they're so deep, and so that's what I would do in it. Now I don't need to clap because now I just embrace it. Now I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, good job. Like, let's go. Like, now I'm learning something, so
Yeah. Yes.
So,
And
yeah.
that self-awareness is also important as just in terms of like doing a gut check on where you're at, whether it's daily or weekly or in a period of your life. I know that when I am, I'm very, very hard on myself. I think that that is a big traumatic response. And it's definitely that perfectionism that you talk about. It's, you know, when that is on fire, when that perfectionism is on fire about things that don't matter, or when I know I'm looking in the mirror and I'm saying really bad things to myself, I know that I'm not in a spiritually fit place. And that's when I have to like go away from the mirror and start looking inward or do the things that bring me those spiritual experiences, or, you know, fill my cup or self-care, because I'm taking it out of myself. Those old pathways, they're there, you know? And you know, to bring it back full circle, it's like my hair. You know, it's like when I'm drying my hair is down and I'm in a meeting, everyone's like, oh my God, your hair is so beautiful. And I'm like, don't talk about my hair, because there's so much wrapped up in this curly hair of mine that I can't talk about it anymore. Like I love it. I hate it. It's like, it sets me on fire. You know, so anyway, it's like when I'm in love with my hair, I know I'm spiritually fit. If I hate my hair, I know I'm not doing well.
And it's so,
yeah.
It's such a, I think a woman thing, you know, it's like we have straight hair, then we want curly hair. If we have curly hair, then we want straight hair, you know? So I feel you there. And one thing that you mentioned, you said, you know I'm not in a spiritually fit place, you know, when I'm feeling like that, or I'm saying terrible things to myself. And in those moments, it's actually not as easy to go inward. And so, you know, one thing that I've, done that's really helped me is I will actually go outward first before I go inward. And I will do something as simple as like donate to someone. You know, it doesn't have to be a lot, like $25, $50, you know, I will just literally Google something, find something that kind of, that I can give to, or I'll put together some, bags to give to the homeless, or, I'll do an act of kindness when I'm not being kind to myself. And I'll do it.
That's beautiful.
Isn't it?
Yeah.
And it's really helped me. It's helped me so much. And I'm not kidding. I've done this for years, like where I will just go online, I'll find a place to donate, and I'm like, I'm just going to donate there. And it's like I can take that joy that I feel from helping someone else, then I can start to do the work on myself. So, yeah, so I'll give you that little nugget.
Thank you. And your joy folder.
Yes, no, literally. Yeah.
I love the idea of having a folder on your phone with things that bring you joy.
Absolutely.
And then the tying back to gratitude. It's like, there is so truly much to be grateful for. It's not to avoid the thing that you're struggling with. It's just to course correct a bit so that you're not
and not focus on the thing. I think it's so easy for us to focus on the thing that we're focusing on and not look at all the other amazing things that are happening in our life. And when you're not, mind, body, and soul aligned, it's so easy to do that. And so it's so easy to get fixated on the thing, and so I love that you also mentioned gratitude, because that's a huge practice for me as well. So, gosh, this has just been such a rich, delicious conversation as our first conversation. And I love that you are in Arizona as well, like I am. And we both moved here around the same time. I was kind of in the heart of the pandemic, and you were kind of towards the end of the pandemic. But we didn't even get to talk about, New York during the pandemic, but we'll have to do like another, we'll have to bring just for that, because your story there was just so incredible as well. So I just want to thank you again for coming on. And I know that our audience will glean so many just rich gems that you dropped here, and really appreciate your vulnerability today. And thank you so much for coming on Sunday Soul Day. Thank you so much, Demisha. I really, really enjoyed it. Thank you. And everyone, have a blessed Sunday.